Hey guys, Ashlane here, coming at you today talking about the evolution of the bowler walk. So the bowler walk is using bowlers and healers, obviously, and I've been trying different variations. It's probably the most popular question I've gotten in the last couple of weeks is, Ash, have you found any use for the bowler? How are you liking the bowler? How are you seeing it used in your clan wars? So I thought I'd share where I am right now with the troop. I've been doing a lot of playtesting myself out in the wild. And this last war, I used a bowler walk attack against this base. Now, none of these bases are anything to write home about, but let's face it, this is how you develop new strategy, right? You use it against a little bit easier bases. In this base, my idea was to take out the queen with the bowlers and the healers. Now, I put a little bit too much separation in the bowlers here, and what happens is one of the bowlers actually goes towards the east, and the healers follow them that way. Now, I want to share with you a couple pieces of insight that I was given by actually Jonas on the Clash team. He said that people need to start using rage on the bowlers more often. So I'm trying something a little bit more unorthodox, and I'm using rage on the perimeter when establishing my funnel on the bowlers. So I'm going into most of these battles with 3 rages, and I'm prepared to use 1 rage on the bowler walk portion of the attack, and then 2 rages on the Valkyrie portion of the attack. So this is my favorite composition for the bowler walk. I did try a number of different variations in terms of troop selection and in terms of spell selection, and this still remains my favorite. That's using 3 rage spells, 1 jump spell, and 4 earthquake spells. I'm going to show you a bunch of replays that I've done out in the wild, and again, this strategy is not complete yet, but I just wanted to check in and share where I'm at so far in my bowler journey and maybe get your feedback. So my idea on this attack and my idea on a lot of these bowler walks is to actually transition from a bowler walk to a queen walk and then merge into the Valkyries behind the golem. So the idea here is that the bowlers will establish a backside funnel. So an opposite side of the main attack, the bowlers will actually take out about 25% of the base or so. And even with the 3-minute timer, this actually works out pretty well when you transition from a bowler walk to a queen walk to the mass Valkyrie attack. And namely, this is because the Valkyries are so effective and so fast. So the idea here is that the Valkyries do a lot of the heavy lifting, the bowlers take out about 25% of the base, and the bowlers have an advantage on their walk that the queen doesn't have, and they get 1 layer deeper into the base. So you can see here, the back end of this raid, the funnel is already established by the bowlers early on, so now the Valkyries have nowhere to go but to the south where the remaining units are, instead of splitting, some Valkyries going north and some Valkyries going south. And Valkyries, like I just said, are very, very fast, so time really isn't an issue. You can actually take up to a minute to a minute and a half on the actual first phase of the attack and still pull it off at the end. So you can see, like I said, not the most difficult base in the world, but this is just me trying to come up with a pretty concrete strategy that I can then take to more difficult bases and try it that way. So let's go to my attack log here. You can see I have a few high 2% raids. Actually, that 156% is when I forgot a jump spell and wall breakers. So we won't show that one because it was just my fault there on the CoC. You'll notice that all these raids have a lot of resources because I'm farming at the same time that I'm trying to fine-tune this strategy. So here you can see I start the bowlers off right over here in a pretty safe area because they are kind of squishy. They don't have a lot of hit points. I've tried placing the queen down before the bowlers to act as kind of a meat shield because she's obviously has so much more health than bowlers do, but that doesn't work because the bowlers don't stick with the queen more often than not. So what I've been doing is placing the queen down about halfway through the walk portion of the raid, like so, and then I'll merge right into that golem, and then I'll drop all the Valkyries. Now, you want to place a couple Valkyries to create the funnel a little bit off-center there, and you can see I placed a couple Valkyries a little bit further north, and then you immediately, as soon as the Warden is in range, you use the Warden ability as the Valkyries enter the center of the base, and then you use your first rage pretty early on, and you use use your second rage at the town hall area. So the Valkyries move really, really fast, especially on rage, so they'll actually really take a lot of advantage on that Eternal Tome. So if you notice that whole area next to the air sweeper, kind of where the queen is, that was all taken out by the bowlers on rage. And it doesn't seem like the bowlers did a heck of a lot towards the beginning of that raid, but that's why this strategy is pretty successful, because what it does is it leaves a pretty open area into the interior of the base. Like, again, at the risk of repeating the same thing over and over again, something that the queen couldn't do, one layer deeper, and that causes the Valkyries to stay together more as they funnel throughout the entire base, kind of making a sweeping motion. And you can see at this point the heroes are still alive, a bunch of Valkyries still alive, the bowlers are even still alive, and everything worked out great for a 3-star attack. Granted, like I said, there was a couple upgrading units, including an upgrading Inferno Tower, so this is just the evolution of the strategy. I'm excited to try attacks like this, an actual war, and bring those to you guys. So let's go ahead and watch another attack here. This one was against one of these square bases, so I thought it'd be a valuable one to share for sure. So again, I'm going to start with the bowlers this time. I told you this is the evolution of the strategy, meaning that I'm trying all kinds of different things with my deployment, trying to see what works best. Oh no, we have a runaway bowler. We have a runaway bowler. It's okay though, the rest of the bowlers stayed together. The bowlers do have kind of funky AI, so they're very, very hard to predict which direction they're going to head in. Now you can see on this base, they were able to take out a couple layers of defenses in the interior of the base. Nothing that the queen couldn't do, but they start chopping into that next layer a little bit. And what that's going to do is create a nice funnel for the Valkyries to go right into the center of this base. So that's actually going to work out pretty well. Now, as soon as my queen starts rerouting into the center of the base, I'm going to drop my golems and all the Valkyries. Now, this isn't the best example of a great bowler walk because the bowlers died pretty early on. I mean, they did a good job creating the funnel, but unlike the last raid, they're not going to stay alive till the end. But it's okay, the Valkyries will do the rest of the heavy lifting here. You use the Eternal Tome ability. Again, it's pretty easy from here on out. You use the Eternal Tome ability as soon as the Valkyries or the Grand Warden is in range of the Valkyries. You got to make sure the Valkyries stay with the Grand Warden. That's why deployment is so important here. Deployment time should be Valkyries immediately, all spam them as quick as possible with one finger, and then immediately you drop that Grand Warden, and then it should be the Barbarian King. I'm not sure if I even did it correctly on this raid, but it worked out either way. But these bases are pretty easy to take down using this strategy, especially these square bases. So if you see it, go ahead and give it a shot. I think you'll have success with it. You can see all my heroes still max health, and the balloons are kind of just trailing that golem there, not doing much damage to him, so it's not a big deal there with the balloons in the clan castle. You got to be careful of the balloons in the clan castle, because with this strategy, you really have no powerful air targeting troops besides the Archer Queen, so the Valkyries, if they get targeted by balloons, you could be in trouble. So, and it's important to note that you should not be using Lava Hounds in high-end clan wars anymore defensively, because I probably will put out a video on exactly why, but Lava Hounds do absolutely nothing against mass Valk attacks, so that's important to keep in mind. You can see a lot of loot here. I'm getting a lot of loot with this strategy for sure. Let's go ahead and play one that was not a 3-star and see what I did wrong. There was a lot wrong on this replay. I messed up the funnel inside the base, so there's really 2 layers of funnel because you want to make sure the Valkyries stay together as well, and I really blew this one. So again, I'm going to use the rage on the bowlers. Everything's looking pretty good. I lose another bowler. That's very common. And I did want to mention, as we watch what went wrong here, I did want to mention the 2 things that I was told about the bowlers to keep in mind. Number 1 is, like I already told you, using rage. Bowlers are one of the most effective troops when raged. That's what the developers told me about the bowlers. And the other thing is they did mention that bowlers will really reward players who have a very intimate knowledge of building hit points. So I should probably pay more attention to exactly where I deploy the bowlers on the map, because I want to make sure that I target buildings that the outside building has a little bit more hit points than the inside building. So it's important that you identify the proper place to start your bowler walk on the base. So that's something that I have not been paying enough attention to right now, so don't look at any of these videos for necessarily the best way or best area to deploy the bowlers. What I'm kind of doing right now is using old methods of deployment, which are I'm focusing on trying to take out the Eagle Artillery first rather than paying specific attention to the building hit points. So that's something that you guys might want to keep in mind. So this is how I build the army that I have been using in case any of you guys are curious. I have 7 bowlers and 5 Valkyries in one Dark Barracks. I have 11 Valkyries in the other one. I have 3 Rage spells, and then I have 3 Earthquake spells. Why am I at 10 spells? I cook a poison. No, put a haste. I already have a poison cooked up. There we go. So one thing I should mention is this is a really, really awesome farming strategy if you're trying to get just gold and elixir. It's basically an all-dark army except for the healers, and they're only 40,000 elixir, and that's your entire elixir cost, is the healers and the spells. So if you're trying to get gold and elixir really fast, and a lot of it, go ahead and use this strategy in higher leagues. And lately I've been adding wall breakers instead of the jump spell. So I'll go ahead and use 6 wall breakers, then I'll take away... I'll put a couple minions in there, and I'll take away 1 bowler and 1 Valkyrie. So that's what I've been practicing right now, and I'm excited to come at you guys with a more refined strategy that you can actually use against more max bases. But in the meantime, if you see some easier war bases and you want to try this strategy out, or you just want to try it in the wild, go ahead and try it out and let me know how it works for you. I've been having a lot of success with it, as you can see from my attack log. I hope you guys have the same. Interested to hear your feedback on this video. Guys, thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care.